Nobody told Lily Hartwell that silence could be so loud. She walked through the main corridor of the Galactic Unity Academy, and every conversation died the moment she passed. Students from a dozen different species turned away, pressed themselves against walls, or simply stopped moving until she was gone. Their eyes followed her like she was something dangerous, something wrong. She was 17 years old, barely tall enough to reach the water dispensers designed for average galactic citizens, and she weighed less than most of their luggage. But they looked at her like she might attack at any moment, because she was human, and humans came from Earth. And Earth was a death world. Lily had read the classification reports before leaving her colony on Europa. Category 7. One of the most hostile planets ever discovered to produce intelligent life. Extreme temperature variations. Unpredictable weather. Predators everywhere. Toxic plants. Venomous creatures. Diseases that evolved faster than medicine could cure them. The rest of the galaxy could not understand how anything had survived there, let alone built civilization. And now one of those survivors was walking their clean, safe, carefully controlled halls. Lily found her assigned room on level 12. Her roommate was already there. A Silcari named Ren, with a shimmering blue carapace and 4 delicate arms. She was arranging her belongings on the left side of the room with careful precision. Ren looked up when Lily entered. Her compound eyes reflected the light in a way that made it impossible to read her expression. "You are the human," Ren said. It was not a question. "I am Lily." "I know what you are." Ren returned to her unpacking. She did not speak again. Lily set up her side of the room in silence. She had brought very little. A few clothes, some books on a data chip, a small photo of her family back on Europa. Her mother had cried when she left. Her father had simply held her tight and whispered that she should make them proud. She intended to. The dining hall was worse than the corridors. Lily took her tray of specially prepared human food and looked for a place to sit. Every table she approached suddenly became full. Students shifted, spread out, placed bags on empty seats. Nobody would meet her eyes. She finally sat alone at a small table in the corner. She ate her meal in silence while hundreds of beings talked and laughed around her, carefully pretending she did not exist. This continued for 3 days, that on the 4th day, something changed. Lily returned to her room after classes to find her bed destroyed. The sheets were torn. The mattress was slashed. And in the center of it all lay a dead creature, something small and furry that she did not recognize. That a note was pinned to it, written in universal script. "Deathworlders belong with the dead." Lily stood very still for a long moment. Her hands did not shake. Her breathing did not change. She had grown up on Europa, where equipment failures could kill you in seconds, and panic was a luxury nobody could afford. She took a photo of the scene. Then she cleaned it up herself. Ren came back an hour later and noticed the bare mattress. "What happened?" "Nothing," Lily said. "Just an accident." Ren stared at her for a long moment. Then she turned away and said nothing more. The next morning, Lily went to the administration office to report the incident. The official who received her was a tall Morvani with gray skin and an expression of practiced patience. "These things happen," he said after she finished. "New students sometimes have difficulty adjusting. I'm sure it was simply a prank. A dead animal on my bed is a prank. You must understand, Miss Hartwell. Your presence here is unusual. Some students may need time to accept it. Perhaps if you made more effort to integrate, to show them you're not a threat." "I'm not a threat. I'm a student, of course. But you're also human. And humans have a certain reputation." He folded his hands. "I suggest patience. These situations tend to resolve themselves." Lily left the office with the understanding that she was alone. That evening, she sat on her bare mattress and looked at the photo of her family. Her mother's smile, her father's strong hands, her little brother making a face at the camera. She had worked for 3 years to earn this scholarship. She had studied every night after helping with the farm equipment. She had scored higher on the entrance exams than applicants from species that had been spacefaring for 10,000 years. She would not let them drive her away on her data chip. She found a student directory and began to research. If she was going to survive here, she needed to understand who she was dealing with. Point four names kept appearing in connection with incidents involving unpopular students. For students from wealthy families who seemed untouchable. For beings who had apparently decided that humans did not belong at their academy. Lily memorized their faces, and somewhere deep inside her, in a part of her brain that still remembered when her ancestors had hunted across endless plains, something began to wake up. She did not know it yet, but she was no longer just a student trying to fit in. She was a human being pushed into a corner. And the galaxy had forgotten what that meant. The Theshan walked like he owned the station, and in many ways, he did. Aldrich Voss stood 2 meters tall, with pale skin so thin you could see the silver blood moving beneath it. His family had funded the Academy's newest wing. His ancestors had been exploring the stars when most species were still learning to make fire. And he had decided, the moment he saw Lily Hartwell's name on the enrollment list, that she did not belong here. He watched her from across the courtyard, surrounded by his 3 closest companions. Brill, the Crothian, whose stone-like body could crush metal. Senna, the Luminari, whose bioluminescent beauty could hypnotize weaker minds. And Finn, the Dravani, whose reptilian speed and venomous bite made him perfect for dealing with problems quietly. She reported the incident. Finn said, his forked tongue tasting the air. Administration dismissed it. Of course they did. Aldrich smiled. My family pays their salaries. But she should have taken a hint. Instead, she keeps coming to class. Keeps sitting in our dining hall. Keeps breathing our air. What do you want us to do? Brill asked. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Nothing obvious. Nothing traceable. We simply make her life unbearable until she leaves on her own. The same way we handled the Morvani scholarship student last year. Senna laughed, a sound like wind chimes. That one barely lasted 2 months. Humans are supposed to be stubborn, Finn said. Survival trait from their death world. Aldrich's silver eyes narrowed. Then we will have to be more creative. The campaign began the next day. Lily's assignments started disappearing from the digital system. She would submit work, and it would vanish without a trace. When she complained, the instructors looked at her with tired annoyance and suggested she was simply forgetting to save properly. Her schedule changed without warning. She would arrive at a classroom to find the session had been moved to a different level, a different time. By the time she got there, she had already been marked absent. Her food began to make her sick. Nothing obvious, nothing that would show up on a scan. Just subtle contamination with compounds that were harmless to other species, but sent her running to the bathroom for hours. She grew thinner. Dark circles appeared under her eyes. But she kept coming to class, kept submitting her work, kept sitting alone in the dining hall, eating carefully from sealed containers. She prepared herself. One evening, a small voice spoke to her from behind a pillar. You should leave. Lily turned to find a Plinian watching her. He was small, barely reaching her waist, with soft brown fur and large nervous eyes. His species was also marginalized at the academy, considered too weak and timid to matter. Why are you talking to me? Lily asked. Because nobody else will. And because I know what they are doing to you. He glanced around fearfully. My name is Goss. I was friends with the Morvani student. The one from last year. What happened to him? He left. That is what they told everyone. But I saw him the night before he disappeared. He was scared. He said Aldrich had threatened him, told him something bad would happen if he did not withdraw. Goss's voice dropped to a whisper. He did not withdraw. And he did not leave. He just vanished. Lily felt cold. You think they killed him? I think nobody asked questions. I think his family was poor and unimportant, and nobody cared what happened to one scholarship student from a minor species. Goss backed away. You are human. Your people are new to the collective. If you disappear, maybe someone will ask questions. Maybe not. Do you want to find out? He scurried away before she could respond. That night, Lily sat in her room and thought about going home. She could contact the human embassy. She could admit defeat. She could return to Europa and tell her family that the galaxy was not ready for people like them. But then she remembered something her father had told her before she left. Our ancestors crossed oceans in wooden boats. They walked across frozen continents. They survived plagues that killed half of everyone they knew. And they kept going because that is what humans do. We did not give up. Ever. Lily was not going to be the human who gave up. The next day, Aldervoss approached her directly for the first time. He stood in her path as she walked to class, his silver blood pulsing visibly beneath his translucent skin. "You are persistent," he said. "I almost admire it. I'm a student. I am here to learn. You are a primitive from a death world. You are here because the collective felt sorry for your species and gave you a chance you did not earn." He leaned closer, and his voice became soft. "This is your only warning, little predator. Leave the academy. Go back to your violent rock, or I will make you wish you had never been born." Lily looked up at him. He was taller, stronger, older, richer, more connected. He had every advantage, but she had something he did not understand. She had grown up on a world that tried to kill her every single day. "No," she said simply, and she walked past him to class. Aldrich watched her go, and for the first time, his smile faded. This human was going to be a problem. 3 weeks felt like 3 years. Lily had learned to sleep in 2-hour shifts, never fully unconscious, always listening for the door. She had learned to test every bite of food before eating it. She had learned to check her schedule directly with instructors because the digital system could not be trusted. She had lost weight. Her uniforms hung loose on her frame, but her eyes had changed in a way that made some students look away when she passed. Something in her was becoming sharper. The practical combat assessment was mandatory for all students. It was supposed to teach basic self-defense, the kind of skills that might save your life on a hostile world or during a pirate attack. For most students, it was an easy credit. For Lily, it was a trap. Instructor Delos, the tall Morvani who taught interspecies ethics, was supervising. He called out the pairings from a list. When he reached Lily's name, he hesitated. Lily Hartwell, paired with Brill. A murmur ran through the class. Brill was Crothian. His species was made of living rock. They could survive in vacuum. They could shrug off weapons fire. They were, by any reasonable measure, among the most physically powerful beings in the known galaxy. Lily weighed 52 kilograms. She stepped onto the mat anyway. Brill looked down at her with something that might have been amusement. His eyes were like chips of obsidian set in granite. Across the room, she could see Aldrich watching with a small smile. "You can yield at any time," Instructor Delos said. "This is an assessment, not a death match." Lily did not yield. The fight began. Brill moved first, faster than his bulk suggested. His stone fist swung toward her head with enough force to shatter concrete. Lily was not there. Humans evolved on a world where everything was trying to eat them. They learned to read body language, to predict attacks, to move before danger arrived. They developed a nervous system that could flood their bodies with chemicals that enhanced strength, speed, and pain tolerance. They called it adrenaline. Other species called it terrifying. Lily ducked under the swing and moved to his side. She could not hurt him with her fists. His body was literally made of stone, but she had studied Crothian anatomy. She knew their joints were their weakness. Where the stone plates met, there was flexible tissue that allowed movement. She struck the back of his knee with her heel. Brill stumbled. Not much, just a little. But the entire room went silent that a human had moved a Crothian. Brill recovered and swung again. This time he was angry. His attacks became faster, more vicious. He was not trying to win anymore. He was trying to hurt her. Lily kept moving. She could not match his strength, but she did not need to. Humans were persistence predators. They once chased animals across plains for days until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. They did not win through power. They won through endurance. Brill was getting frustrated. He was not used to opponents who refused to stand still. He was not used to fights that lasted more than a few seconds. Lily saw her opening. His next swing was wild, overextended. She grabbed 2 of his fingers as his fist passed her head. Stone fingers, yes, but fingers nonetheless. She twisted, using leverage and momentum, applying pressure to the joint. There was a crack. Brill roared and pulled back. 2 of his fingers were bent at wrong angles. She had broken them. Instructor Delos called the match. Enough. Assessment complete. The room was dead silent. Lily stood on the mat, breathing hard, covered in bruises from the glancing blows she had not managed to avoid. But she was standing, and Brill was cradling his broken hand with an expression of pure shock. Nobody had ever broken a Crothian's fingers before. Nobody had ever thought it was possible. Aldrich was no longer smiling. That night, Lily received a message on her personal device. It was from Senna, the Luminari. The message said that the scholarship committee wanted to meet with her urgently to discuss her continued enrollment. The meeting was on level sub-7, in administrative annex B. Lily knew it was a trap. Level sub-7 was the maintenance level. No administration offices existed there. No cameras. No witnesses. She could ignore the message. She could report it. She could hide in her room and wait for them to try something else. But Lily was tired. Tired of being afraid. Tired of being hunted. Tired of waiting for the next attack. On Europa, when a piece of equipment was failing, you did not wait for it to break completely. You dealt with it before it could kill you. She checked her personal recorder, made sure it was fully charged and well hidden, and headed for level sub-7. The corridor was dark when she arrived. Pipes ran along the ceiling, dripping condensation. The lights flickered, and there they were. Aldrich Voss stood in the center of the corridor, flanked by Senna and Finn. Behind them, nursing his broken fingers with murder in his eyes, stood Brill. "You actually came," Aldrich said. "I thought humans were supposed to be smart. I thought Thessians were supposed to have honor," Lily replied. "I guess we were both wrong." Aldrich's smile vanished. "No cameras down here, Deathworlder. No weaknesses. No one to save you." He stepped forward. "Let us see how long your species really lasts." Lily watched them spread out to surround her, and something ancient and terrible woke up behind her eyes. Finn moved first. The Dravani was fast, reptilian muscles coiled and released like springs. His venomous fangs gleamed in the flickering light as he lunged for Lily's throat. One bite, and the paralytic would drop her in seconds. Lily did not run. She stepped into the attack. Finn had expected her to flee. Every prey species fled. It was the natural response to a predator's strike. But Lily was not prey. Her ancestors had hunted lions with wooden spears. They had killed mammoths by driving them off cliffs. They had looked into the eyes of wolves and made them into dogs. Humans did not flee. Humans fought. She caught Finn's wrist as it came toward her and twisted. The movement was simple, something her father had taught her when she was 12. On Europa, everyone learned to fight. Equipment failures could drive people mad. Sometimes you had to protect yourself from your own crew. Finn's wrist bent backward. He hissed in pain and surprise. Lily did not stop. She drove her elbow into the nerve cluster beneath his jaw. The Dravani's eyes rolled back, and he collapsed, twitching but alive. 3 seconds. One down. Senna stepped forward, her bioluminescent skin beginning to pulse with hypnotic patterns. The Luminari could control minds through their light. Weaker species would simply stop moving, entranced by the beautiful display. Lily closed her eyes. Humans played games blindfolded. They navigated by sound and touch. They had explored the deepest caves of their world with nothing but their hands and their stubbornness. She listened. Senna's feet made soft sounds on the metal floor. Her breathing was quick and shallow. She was not used to fighting. She was used to her victims standing still. Lily moved toward the sound. Senna gasped and tried to retreat, but she was too slow. Lily's fist connected with her stomach, and the Luminari doubled over, her light display flickering out as she struggled to breathe. 6 seconds. 2 down. Brill charged. The Crothian was not fast, but he did not need to be. His stone body could absorb almost any impact. His broken fingers had been splinted, and rage burned in his obsidian eyes. Lily could not fight him directly. She had gotten lucky once. She would not get lucky again, so she did not fight him. She dropped to the ground and rolled between his legs as he swung. He was big. The corridor was narrow. His fist hit a pipe instead of her head, and steam burst into the air. Lily came up behind him and kicked the back of his knee, the same spot she had targeted before. He stumbled. She grabbed a loose pipe from the wall and swung it at his damaged fingers. Brill screamed. She did not stop. She hit him again and again. Each strike targeted the same weak point. Humans had invented the concept of repeated trauma. They understood that even stone could be worn down by water if you gave it enough time. Brill collapsed to one knee, cradling his shattered hand. 15 seconds. 3 down. Aldrich Voss stared at her with something new in his silver eyes. Fear. What are you? He whispered. I am human. Lily's voice was steady, even though blood ran from a cut on her forehead where she had scraped against the wall. We come from a world that spent 4 billion years trying to kill us. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived predators and volcanoes and each other. You think you scare me? You are nothing compared to what my ancestors faced. Aldrich drew a blade from his sleeve. It was thin and elegant, designed for Theshan hands. His species considered themselves too refined for physical combat, but they still learned the old arts. You are just one human, he said. Small, fragile, mortal. Your species lives barely a century. You are nothing. We are small, Lily agreed. So we learned to use tools. We are fragile, so we learned to protect each other. We are mortal, so we learned to make every moment count. She raised her fists. And right now, every moment counts for you. Aldrich attacked that he was trained. His movements were precise and efficient. The blade sang through the air, aimed at her vital points. But Lily was not trying to win. She was trying to survive. She let the blade cut her arm as she moved inside his reach. Pain flooded her system, but adrenaline flooded it more. Humans could ignore wounds that would incapacitate other species. They could keep fighting with broken bones and torn muscles. They had evolved to refuse to die. Her hands found his throat. They fell together, Lily on top, her thumbs pressing against the soft tissue where his silver blood pulsed visibly beneath his translucent skin. One push, and she could rupture something vital. On my world, she said, breathing hard, we have a saying, do not start none, will not be none. She pressed harder. Aldrich's eyes went wide. You started this. All of it. The threats, the sabotage, the dead animal on my bed. You made my life hell because I dared to exist in your space. Please, Aldrich whispered. I recorded everything. Lily smiled, and it was not a friendly expression. Every incident, every failed report. This conversation right now, it is already uploaded to 3 different servers, including one on Earth. If I die here tonight, everyone will know exactly who killed me. Aldrich's face went pale, his silver blood draining from his skin. You will face justice, Lily said. Not because I'm going to kill you, but because I'm going to let you live. And you're going to spend the rest of your very long life knowing that a small, fragile human from a death world had you beaten and chose mercy. She released his throat and stood up. Aldrich lay on the floor, gasping. Behind them, station alarms began to wail. Security found them 7 minutes after the alarm started. The scene they discovered would become legend at the Galactic Unity Academy. 4 elite students from some of the wealthiest families in the collective lay on the ground of a maintenance corridor. One was unconscious. One was gasping for breath. One was cradling a destroyed hand. One was staring at the ceiling with the look of someone whose entire world had just collapsed. And standing among them, bleeding from half a dozen wounds but still on her feet, was a human girl who weighed less than their luggage. The security chief, a scarred veteran of 3 border conflicts, took one look at the scene and said only, well, this is going to be interesting. The investigation lasted 2 weeks. Academy administration tried to suppress the incident. They talked about misunderstandings and cultural differences and the need for discretion. Aldrich's family made calls. Threats were implied. Donations were mentioned. None of it mattered that Lily's recordings had already spread too far. The footage of 4 students confessing their crimes while trying to murder a classmate was on servers across the galaxy. The Human Embassy had received copies. The Galactic Council had received copies. News networks had received copies. The story was simple and damning. 4 privileged students had targeted a human scholarship student for months. They had harassed her, sabotaged her work, poisoned her food, and finally attempted to kill her in an isolated corridor. And she had survived, not through luck or intervention, but through her own skill and determination. Goss, the little Plinian, came forward with evidence about the Morvani student who had disappeared the year before. Security found records that had been buried, communications that had been deleted, a trail that led directly to Aldrich and his group they had killed before, and they would have killed again. The tribunal was public. Aldrich's family could not prevent it. Too many people were watching. Too many species were demanding answers. Lily sat in the witness area with bandages still covering her wounds. Ren sat beside her. Her roommate had not spoken much since the incident, but she had refused to leave Lily's side. Aldrich Voss stood before the tribunal with none of his former arrogance. His silver blood looked pale beneath his skin. His eyes were empty. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty of attempted murder. Guilty of harassment. Guilty in connection with the death of a previous student. All four of them. Expulsion was automatic. Criminal charges would follow. Aldrich's family lost their seat on the academy board. Their donation wing would be renamed. After the tribunal, Instructor Delos approached Lily in the corridor. "I wanted to apologize," he said. His gray face was difficult to read, but his voice carried shame. "I knew something was wrong. I suspected what they were doing, but I did nothing. I was afraid of their families. Afraid for my position." Lily looked at him for a long moment. "You were my instructor," she said quietly. "It was your job to protect your students. All of them, even the inconvenient ones. I know. You chose your comfort over my safety. You chose your career over my life." She shook her head. "I do not hate you, instructor, but I will never respect you, and I will never forget." She walked away. That evening, Lily sat in her room and read a message from Earth. It was from a human ambassador to the Galactic Collective. "You have done your species proud," the message said. "Your courage has shown the galaxy what humans are made of. But this is just the beginning. They will test us everywhere now. On every station, on every world, in every institution where we dare to exist. Are you ready?" Lily thought about the question for a long time. She thought about the months of harassment, the fear, the loneliness, the moment when she had stood in that corridor with four enemies surrounding her and nothing but her own body to defend herself. She thought about Goss, who had been too afraid to speak until someone showed him it was possible. She thought about Ren, who was learning that Deathworlders could be trusted. She thought about all the other marginalized students who had watched from the shadows, too scared to act, but hoping someone would show them the way. She typed her response. "We have been ready for 300,000 years. We survived everything our world threw at us. We will survive this too, not by fighting alone, but by standing together. Tell the others. Tell every human in the collective. We are not victims. We are not monsters. We are family, and we protect our own." She sent the message. Then she lay back on her bed, closed her eyes, and slept without fear for the first time in months. Outside her window, the stars burned cold and ancient, but somewhere among them, in academies and stations and colonies across the galaxy, humans were reading her story. They were watching her footage. They were learning that they did not have to accept abuse. They did not have to be afraid. One small human girl had stood up against impossible odds and won. If she could do it, so could they. The galaxy had tried to break humanity. Humanity had other plans. 6 months changed everything. Lily Hartwell walked through the main corridor of the Galactic Unity Academy, and this time the silence was different. Students still watched her as she passed, but they did not look away in fear. Some of them nodded. A few even smiled. She had become something unexpected, a symbol. The Academy had offered her a position as student ambassador, officially to help integrate new species into the institution. Unofficially, everyone knew the real reason. They want to keep her close. They wanted to show the galaxy that they had learned from their mistakes. Lily had accepted, but on her own terms. She would not be a token. She would not be a trophy. She would be exactly what she had always been, a human being who refused to give up. Goss walked beside her now. The little Plinian had grown in confidence over the past months. He no longer hid in shadows or whispered from behind pillars. He had testified at the tribunal. He had helped bring justice for his dead friend. And he had discovered something important about himself. He was braver than he had ever believed. "The new arrivals are docking in 10 minutes, Goss said, checking his datapad. 3 from the Brennick delegation. They are nervous. They should be. This place nearly killed me. But it did not. Lily smiled. No, it did not. Ren was waiting for them at the docking bay. The Silkari had changed too. She still kept her distance, still preferred silence to conversation, but there was warmth in her compound eyes that had not existed before. I checked the arrival manifest, Ren said. One of the Brennick students is very young, barely past adolescence by their standards. Like me when I arrived? Yes, but you had no one. This one will have you. The airlock cycled open. The Brennick were massive beings, covered in thick scales that could deflect small arms fire. Their homeworld was classified Category 8, even more hostile than Earth. They had evolved in boiling swamps, surrounded by creatures that made terrestrial dinosaurs look friendly. 3 of them stepped onto the station. 2 adults, clearly nervous despite their imposing size. And one smaller figure, barely 2 meters tall, whose scales had not yet hardened to their adult coloration. The young Brennick's eyes were wide, taking in the strange environment. Students from other species gave the newcomers a wide berth, just as they had once avoided Lily. Some things had not changed yet, but they would. Lily walked up to the young Brennick and extended her hand. "Welcome to the Galactic Unity Academy," she said. "I am Lily." The Brennick stared at her hand, confused by the gesture. "It is a human greeting," Lily explained. "We grasp hands briefly. It shows we mean no harm. You are human." The young Brennick's voice was deep but uncertain. "The one from the recordings. The one who fought the 4 students alone. I am a student who did not give up. That is all." The Brennick hesitated, then reached out with one massive clawed hand and gently grasped Lily's fingers. The size difference was almost comical. His hand could have crushed hers without effort. But he was careful. Gentle. "I am Corvin," he said. "I am scared." "Good," Lily replied. "Fear means you are paying attention. But you're not alone. Not anymore." She released his hand and gestured to Goss and Ren. "This is Goss. He knows everything about the Academy and everyone in it. If you need information, he can find it. This is Ren. She does not talk much, but she is reliable. If you need help, she will be there." Corvin looked at the small Plinian and the shimmering Silkari. "You are all different species." "Yes, but you work together." Lily smiled. "That is what humans do. We make families out of strangers. We turn enemies into friends. We find the people who need us, and we refuse to let them face the darkness alone." She put her hand on Corvin's arm, reaching up to touch his scales. "This place is hard. Some people here will not accept you. They will fear you because you are different, because you come from a death world, because you do not fit their idea of what a civilized being should be." Her eyes met his. "But you have something they do not understand. You survived your world. You are strong in ways they cannot imagine. And now you have us." Corvin's scales shifted color slightly, a Brennick sign of emotion. "Why?" he asked. "Why help me? You do not know me." "Because someone should have helped me," Lily said simply. "And because this is how we change things. Not through violence, not through revenge, through community, through compassion, through refusing to let others suffer what we suffered." She stepped back and spread her arms to indicate the station around them. The old species built this galaxy on hierarchy, on power, on fear. Humans have a different approach. We believe that everyone deserves a chance. We believe that the measure of a civilization is how it treats its most vulnerable members. We believe that no one should have to fight alone. Corvin straightened, and something changed in his posture. The fear was still there, but beneath it was something else. Something that looked like hope. "I would like to learn more about humans," he said. "Then come with us." Lily started walking toward the interior of the station. "I will show you where the good food is. And I will tell you everything you need to know about surviving this place." They walked together down the corridor. A human, a Plinian, a Silkari, and a Brennick. 4 beings from 4 different worlds, united by something the ancient species had never quite understood: kindness. Compassion. The simple belief that everyone deserved to be protected. Other students watched them pass. Some with curiosity, some with confusion. A few with the beginning of something that might become understanding. The galaxy was old. Its hierarchies were ancient. Its prejudices were deep, But humans had time. They had patience. They had the stubborn refusal to accept that things could not be better. And they had each other. The old powers watched and wondered. For the first time in 10,000 years, they were not sure what came next. But the young ones knew. Change was coming, and it walked on two legs with soft skin and short lives and hearts that refused to stop hoping. The future belonged to those brave enough to reach for it. Humanity was reaching.